Here. Public comment, have anything to say about anything that's on the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Western Berks Water Authority. Chris?
I'm gonna defer to Dave,
Well, thanks.
at least for now.
Well, I want to be nice over there, Chris, you know.
Well, I'll give you the good news first. Operation-wise, everything seems to be running fairly well. We're getting most of our filters online, which we had lost because of the pipe break, so that's getting back to normal. So operations-wise, we're in decent shape. The next item, the drought contingency plan. I think we had asked all the boroughs for updates on that. We will update that plan, and I submit it to the governmental agencies. So that's what that's all about. I think it's required every 5 years.
I don't think we need to act on it, it's just, I got
Right.
that from Chip, updated some information, they submitted to DEP, and that's on file.
Yeah, just review the plan and update it. It's really all that is. There's no action necessary on that. I'd like to address now the 7% increase. We spent a lot of time on this item, and I have some quick items. I won't bore you to death, but declining water sales. In the last 10 years, the Delaware River Basin Authority has a continuing decline in water usage. And I think a lot of it is added to these new appliances that use less water, for example. So there is a declining use of water. I want to remind you that declining use of water means less revenue to us. That's our product, or to you, actually. COVID, we lost revenue because of that, and unfortunately, we didn't have the pleasure, or whatever, of getting any payments from the government. We got not 1 cent from the government, although, no. And of course, obviously, we were greatly affected by a fair amount of money. Chemicals have increased roughly 2%. Chlorine is going up about 237%. Why, I have no idea. However, there was a good article in the Journal this morning. I don't know if anybody read the Journal. I'll just read you the headline. Companies seize rare opportunity to increase prices and outrun their own rising costs in order to boost profit margins. So they're taking advantage of this situation to say, hey, we've been cutting costs for years and really watching ourselves, low profit margins. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take advantage of this and jack up the prices. And that's exactly what you're doing. Does the cost of chlorine go up to 237%? I doubt it, but that's what they're charging us. So that's that situation. Energy costs, I just got a letter the other day, my electricity is going up 25%. I'm sure it's the case of everybody. So that's up 25%. Another big item is our union contract falls due next July. And we've heard numbers from 5 to 10%. I just can't imagine that, but you know, they're going for blood. They're smelling blood, and they're saying, hey, you know, we can't get jobs, and we got the cost of wages and blah blah blah. So I'm sure they're going to come in asking for a lot of money. So we're going to have to do that fight. But we're had to plug something into the budget. I think we plugged in 5%, and I hope we can keep it at that. That's that situation. And the other situation is we are going to add 1 operator to our staff. We've been running very tight, in fact, we're short operator right now. So we want to add an operator to staff. So that's the bottom line. We both like Dell would keep it at 5%, but the chemicals really kill us. And it's just a very, very unusual time right now. And that's all I can say. Are there any questions?
So I thought initially it was gonna be 6%.
We were aiming for 5, but that was before we had the chemical bids. Chemical bids came in and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, but just out of sight. I've never seen it increase like that in my life. In my time with the authority. As I said, chlorine went up 237%. It's crazy. In fact, we've even talked of other ways to perhaps not use that particular product and go to something else that's cheaper, and I think they're looking at that, but that's easier said than done. But we're obviously looking at other ways to try to counteract it. So, Chris, do you have anything to add?
Just I think you said that the overall increase in the chemicals was 2%. Do you mean like 20%?
20%?
Yeah, the overall increase of the chemical
It's 2% increase.
total?
I mean, of the rate, we're going from 5 to 7%.
Oh, okay, you're talking about.
Yeah,
something else.
we're talking about the rate that we're
Yeah.
charging to the boroughs.
Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise,
I forget, what did we budgeted 5%? And we budgeted pass-through increases?
Correct.
That's in the current budget now,
Correct.
pass-through.
Yeah, we had said 5%, in November, October, I guess it was, and that was our, and they had to really almost beat me up to go to 7, but I
I don't know what that 2% represents in terms of dollars.
We'll find out.
Just curious, and just
What's,
see
do
what.
we know what the average water bill is?
Yeah.
Because I would say what my average water bill is, but it ain't close to being
Yeah,
average.
but that includes the trash.
Well, I'm just talking
Yeah,
about
but
water.
trash is
Water
the
is-
same fee.
Water's
every
the same.
time.
About 100,
Yeah.
how about $130 a quarter maybe? Is that a,
I wish.
Wish.
Do you have any idea, but for the average taxpayer, what is this, what does this represent? If it's $200 a quarter, it's.
$200 some dollars with the trash.
oh yeah, with trash,
Yeah,
that's
200.
60-some bucks right
What's-
there.
Yeah.
6250 is trash.
But what's
every
the
quarter.
flat bill? Like
Your
minimum?
minimum water is 1571 for water, and your minimum sewer is 5821 or 5996. And then it's $5 for sewer after every 100 cubic feet over.
Don't you think $130, $150 average water
Most
bill?
households are 130,
Yeah,
170.
Yeah.
Or 130 including the trash, or?
No, no, no,
Yeah.
Just water.
that's just water.
She's saying, yeah.
I'm saying I have a substantial amount of properties in the borough that are just 130, 140,
With the trash.
150 with trash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more
Whoa.
of our
Someone's tapped into
elder,
my water.
Wow.
our elder residents, they're not,
Mine's 130 without, and I don't pay trash.
Not mine.
You're showering a lot.
yeah. I mean, I can tell you, most people in this room, you don't have that. You probably think I'm talking of a person.
Just
that-
warm the eyes, $130
Mine, yeah,
a
mine's
quarter.
like 250, 280.
Uh-huh.
Quarter.
Mine's like 500.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
Mine's 7
Yeah.
a week.
you might have a leak.
That's
No,
a
but-
triangle right
But
there.
my point is, 2%.
Can you just find out, Michelle, what the
Okay.
net,
I know.
what the
I know.
2%, so we understand in terms of dollars, that we're starting the year off knowing that we're gonna have a deficit based on
In the whole.
the estimate, 5% versus 7.
I guess there are two other things that sort of, for reference. One is, we're kind of hedging, looking in the future years. If we kept it at 5% now, like next year or the year after, it's gonna be a much bigger increase, most likely. The other thing is, they were telling us that, Aqua put in, for a 17% increase.
17% aqua, water,
We know what's
17%.
We know what's happening over the hills.
Well, I'm sure it's, I live in Exeter and I have Aqua, and my water and sewer bill monthly is $160 a month. So,
We-
and I wanted to remind us too, I think we discussed this a year or two ago. Western Berks had done a rate, study, and Wyomissing, the whole
Yeah.
county was like the second or third.
Yes.
spot.
I know
Yes.
we're low.
Yes,
We're low.
we're low, and I think statewide, Western Berks Water Authority's rates are very low compared to other people our size, so we're very competitive. It's just, we're not used to giving these kind of increases, typically 2-3%. This is just an eye-opener, and,
And compared to PA American up like in the hills, we're still well
yeah,
under.
you're still way ahead of PA American and Aqua.
That's sad.
Those
I
guys.
mean, they're almost double.
Jesse James were done.
And I'm sure they'll go up, they're gonna take advantage of the opportunity. So, I think we're still competitive. And we certainly have an eye on our expenses, we certainly, this, but I can't promise.
Okay,
Any
thanks,
questions?
Dave, thanks, Chris.
Okay.
What are we gonna do? Zoning, Michelle?
Sure, unless anybody has specific questions, I'm just gonna give you updates to my report. There is a second zoning hearing scheduled for November 30th at 4 PM for 1561 Dauphin Avenue. This was not on the report because I wasn't sure we were gonna get the information in time to be able to do the public notice by tomorrow under the MPC requirements. They are asking for a variance from section 404 area yard and height requirements to allow building coverage 1% higher than what is permitted by right, and a variance from section 704.3, expansion of an existing nonconformity regarding the building setback.
You said that's 4 o'clock.
Yes, same day, November 30th.
Right.
On the codes report, citation's been filed for 40 Cedarwood, waiting on a plea from the property owner. The civil suit hearing for 20 George Avenue has been scheduled for December 17th. My understanding is Michelle Mayfield from Chris's office will be there as well as myself. And 712 Oley Street, citation has also been filed, waiting on a plea from the property owner. So unless anybody has any questions, that's it.
Any questions for Michelle? Okay. Let's, move into the sanitary sewers.
We have pay app number 3 for sewer specialties, $21,041.06. That's the release of the retainage. I did finish looking at all the tape. He does need to come back for a handful of items. So this number may vary by council meeting by a small amount, but I'd like to get it in the process.
Okay. Somebody willing to,
We're okay on the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll make that motion.
we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, there we go. How about the pump station?
Well, we've met with EnviroRep. It's moving forward. Nothing really added, it's moving forward.
Okay. How are we doing on the pumps? We have,
Did we buy that other one?
The other one, I have given them a purchase order, if you will, to rebuild the one pump.
rebuild it.
Oh, we'll get it in 2 or 3 months.
Okay,
We still have one on the shelf.
we still have one on the shelf, so if we have a disaster, we still have a pump.
Yep.
Okay. How about the interceptor?
Nothing has changed there. They're gonna do it this spring. I asked them if they would have more detailed or updated plans for this meeting and nothing, but, that will happen, in 2022.
Okay, great. How about your streets?
50/50 sidewalk program, I got the pay app number 3 in the amount of $23,903.68. And we'll still be holding 10% retainage after that.
Where is this one?
We're gonna send out the invoices this week. I suspect I'll get a handful of phone calls, after that. And after that is deciphered, we'll release the retainage. Make sure people don't have complaints before we give them the fund.
We seem to be doing okay with
Yeah.
that.
Well, there's always 1 or 2 people that have issues with everything, but,
Always at 10%. Never fails. Somebody willing to put that one on the table?
It's on budget?
Yeah, well, I think it's $1,000 over the budget.
I'll second. Be right back. I'll vote. Go ahead.
Are you
Have a
seconding?
motion?
I'll make
A second? Let's-
I'll second it.
Second, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Ayes have it.
I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay, we'll pause for 30 seconds.
While we're waiting, getting back to this
Do you want water?
Western Berks thing.
All right.
Reading Hospital has decreased their usage significantly. And we're trying to push West Reading to find out why. But we can't go in as the authority and say, hey, guys, show me a record what you're doing. West Reading, or the borough has to do that, but it's down significantly. We don't know, do know they gave up their laundry facility years ago, but we don't know what else is driving that. That's just another example, we don't have the revenue. So that's the information.
That's been going down for years, right?
Yes, yes,
Didn't
but-
they suspect they had a well or something?
well, we're suspecting that.
Yeah.
We're suspecting that they're plugged in, there's apparently an underground stream that under the new building they just built. And we suspect there's something there, but I'm not suggesting that. But
That would be very risky of them to take groundwater and put that into their
system.
I understand that, I'm not saying they're doing it. But we don't get it, we haven't got, or West Reading hasn't got any explanation of why. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim.
The street project, this is the final retainage release for H&K, 17,521.63. And again, it comes with a little caveat, is they have 2 or 3 pieces of sidewalk between the curb and the regular sidewalk to remove on Hill Avenue, and some, sorry, I'm having a senior moment, some erosion.
It don't get better,
Erosion tuning down on Parkside Drive North, some very minor things, but if they can clean that up before council meeting, this will be the final payment.
Okay. All right, somebody willing to put that one on the table?
Make it work.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Still working on the bid document for the 2022 streets, but I did wanna, if I could have a couple minutes, I said this, mentioned this before, but I just wanna make everybody kind of clear, on a couple of detours or aggravation factors. On the docket is Reading Boulevard from Clayton Avenue to Squire. It's gonna be cold in place recycling, they're gonna chew it up, roll it back down, and then they put a new layer of asphalt on that base, basically. Local traffic will be able to drive on that 99% of the time they're working on it, except for when they're putting the final blacktop on. But I'd like to tell her to work on the bid documents, to have the contractor detour, if you're heading west, you go left on Cambridge, down to Logan, right on Logan to get in, for people who don't live on that section of Reading Boulevard, like you. I don't think it's a burdensome detour, it's a pretty simple detour.
I do that half the time.
Garfield Avenue, and this is 12 through 1600 blocks. It's on the parade route, and I think we've already discussed that. The chances of changing the parade route are basically no. We can work around that somehow. But I'm thinking from start to finish, from curb work to final paving, that's gonna be a month and a half of aggravation out there. We're gonna propose in the contract that any of the concrete work, they'll run up the north curb line first, turn around, come back to south curb line. So for that week or 2 weeks they're in that block, there'll be no parking on one side of that road while we do the curb. And
One thing I
then,
would say about that is if we have to do it, so be it, but give them as much notice as you can.
yeah, after the budget is finalized, I will pen all these people a letter.
Hang
Hey,
on the
there's gonna
trees
be
if
some
you have to.
aggravation, it's gonna take some time, have some patience. We'll get going.
Instead of hanging a left on Garfield, Could we get down to Reading Boulevard and hang a left?
We're not gonna detour on Garfield. It's just as it's restricted parking during the curb work, and then as we'll pave block by block. Monday, we'll pave from the boulevard to Lake, and no parking that
Right.
day, and then keep continuing up. So, and it's just gonna be a long aggravating process. And right, I think the more communication, the better.
Yeah.
And then there's two streets we're doing, what we call micro surfacing on, which is, maybe you've seen it in the past, it's actually like a tanker truck, and they lay down, liquid asphalt with some fine stone in it. It's just a preservative for roads that aren't too bad but have some cracking. Delaware Avenue is a great candidate for that, it's on the list. After they apply it, traffic can get back on it in maybe 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours it takes to cure. Again, there's a lot of on-street parking. So again, it's just a communication factor. But that, unlike Garfield, which will take a month and a half, this will take a couple days. And the other one is Byrne and Hobart. So when you're coming off Penn, all of Byrne all the way up to State Hill, well, to Russo's and then out to State Hill Road. My concern there is you have Building 24, the Berks, the gym, Russo's, the body shop. So I think our best option is to see if they can do it at night. There's just too much traffic.
A lot of traffic.
Right,
A lot of traffic.
yeah.
So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
For that area, that probably would be the best course of action.
Jim, you said Clayton to, on the boulevard, Clayton to
To Squire, including the Squire intersection.
Including Square intersection. And I'm just gonna be proud to note, that includes Coolidge Circle,
That
correct?
is correct.
Got it.
Did I not hear that we're gonna be doing something on MS4 along Coolidge, like under that road? Is that gonna affect the
No,
road?
there's part of the project is a cast in place inlet in front of Dr. Sweet's house. That's always been part of the project, just for general flooding concerns. The other thing you're probably thinking about is behind Dr. Sweet's in that meadow back there. There's an old corrugated metal pipe that we use as access if we have to get behind Sweet's or get behind
Meadows?
Dr. Reedy's house there. And a pickup truck can get over it, but a backhoe or anything heavy, the tree truck, you'd squash that pipe, it's been in there forever. So it's a concrete culvert, we're gonna replace that pipe with. But it's
Didn't we say we're
unrelated to
doing
this.
something the right of way between Sweet's house or that's near Sweet's house that we're gonna have to be digging up?
The third item is that Spring Township
That's what it was.
intersection.
Thank you.
And yeah, we need to coordinate with them. If they're not ready, if we're ready to go and they're not ready, they're gonna have to get at least that section of pipe in that area before we pave it. There's gonna have to be coordination there.
So all the questions came to that. Perfect. All right. 'Cause I hate to do it and then
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Absolutely makes sense. You also, we're always paranoid now, ever since we did Wellington Boulevard.
It'll be the same, it's the same process that we did on Wellington.
And then we had, a month later, someone applied, they dig it up and put a gas pump.
With
cut a line in.
UGI, we have already sent UGI ahead of paving notices, and they've reacted. I think there's 1,200 block of Garfield they're gonna tear up before we pave, because it's an old steel main or something like that. So they're aware.
But would that make sense that when we send these notices out to the residents who are affected by the paving, this is gonna be short-term pain for long-term gain, but if you're thinking about going gas, now's the time. to
I've
do it.
never mentioned that in the residential letters, but I could. Yeah, because that it can happen. But we do have, not that it means anything, but when UGI applies for a street cut permit to put in a gas service, if it's a typical like 4x4 cut, they pay like $50, and then they restore it when they're done. But if it's a road that wasn't paved that has been paved in the last 5 years, it's like a $500 surcharge. But- So we do get a little bit extra money if they cut it.
Still the ones.
Still not, don't want right.
I think you should just include that in the notice,
Yeah.
so they're thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Good idea.
8 and 9, if you're done with streets, 8 and 9 kind of go together.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
We're in the process of working with PennDOT to get all of the right-of-way clearances required for Cambridge Avenue. Same thing for the Wyomissing Creek pedestrian bridge, just working through the process with PennDOT.
Okay, great. And, the public works facility is, self-explanatory.
I guess we should probably take that off.
Yeah.
The
With the
CFA
caveat
meets,
that I'll be reminding everyone every 6 months.
the CFA, which is the Commonwealth Finance Authority, meets tomorrow to talk about multiple pending grant applications. So hopefully we will have news to be thankful for Thanksgiving next week.
And what's on the docket for them?
GTRP 2021 round, which is the Stonehouse, phases 2, 3, and 4. Act 13, which is the Brandywine Lincoln sewer lining project, we asked for $500,000. I think that's it.
Yeah. How about the Verizon Express?
Okay, Michelle Mayfield in my office has prepared a draft amendment to the zoning ordinance to reflect the Act 50 changes in small wireless facilities. Sent that over to Michelle. She's already challenging me on what's contained in that draft ordinance, but we're gonna work through until Michelle and I are on the same page about what should be included in that amendment. I believe the borough should amend the zoning ordinance to reflect the Act 50 requirements before we revisit the lease with Verizon. So it's been a process, but we're making progress on it, and I hope we'll have an ordinance. I don't know if this committee wants to see that ordinance, or if you just wanna talk about the lease when I think we're ready for the lease. Because, to the extent it's a zoning ordinance amendment, we could just deal with the planning commission or the economic development committee that typically handle our zoning ordinance revisions.
So this committee did discuss ad nauseum that the most
Okay.
recent change to the wireless communication facility regulations in the zoning ordinance when we were talking about the small, non-tower based WCF to be permitted in the right of way. To clarify, I wasn't challenging, I just wanted to make sure I understood the new category.
I'm just choosing it. Yes.
Like that.
Keep them on his toes.
It goes both ways.
Well, if you get that done, I'd send that right into planning.
Okay,
Get that, dump that right in John's lap.
okay. We'll come back and make a
Send it on
report
to
to this
council.
committee too.
Yeah,
We'll,
that's fine.
We'll take it to planning also.
The planning, they get their amen to it and they can go to council.
Okay.
Right.
We'll do.
Do you want that, Chris, the December meeting, which I believe is like the 5th? Yes, December 5th. Do you want it on the agenda for
Yeah,
that?
let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, that'd be great. We'll look out for 'em. Green light go for 2018 and 2019.
That's progressing. Jim and I just
Progress.
had a talk with traffic planning, who's doing the design and bidding work for it. I didn't jot down the exact dates, but they're looking for final PennDOT approval of the plans, I believe, in January, and the work will get done this summer.
Great. So that'll complete that project then.
Yeah, we will have, after this is done, I don't think there's anything other than a quirky something here or there that needs any long-term traffic signal on.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Jim, I think for the 2018 program, you'll just have to submit that letter to PennDOT.
Right.
He was the meeting.
Yeah, there was an issue, Pat Brandenburg was on the paperwork to sign any documentation for this. And we have to see if whatever resolutions we've done with Michelle, if they'll work that she can sign, or how difficult that's gonna be to get that signature.
I think Michelle is already on the PennDOT.
I'm on ECMS.
Okay, so this is a different
Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing simple.
No.
Are you gonna find out what's needed, and if
Yeah.
you need some more documentation, let me know? Okay, thanks, Jim.
Okay, that's great, Bill. It's been a long time coming. Park Road Bridge,
I received the email that is currently pulled up on the screen last week from Tom Gumbar, who is one of Senator Schwank's staff members. That email contains language that's an excerpt from a response from PennDOT and their response to our request for them to maintain and repaint the Park Road Bridge. They are suggesting that we consider a community mural. I know what John's gonna say.
I think that's ghetto. I always said it when I was involved in West Reading for 25 years, when they started their mural program. I said, you know, I'm not on board with this, and I'm not on board with this either, but that's beside the point. I'm only one guy.
And I don't know where the mural would go, the traveling public wouldn't see a mural on the side of the bridge.
No, the Norfolk Southern train would.
they've
And I
got,
would think it's gonna take them longer and potentially cost more to do a mural than to just paint the bridge.
Well, I don't think they're suggesting they do, I think they're suggesting we do it.
Right.
that's stupid.
From what it sounded like. But isn't the anti-graffiti program back in effect again from the county?
Yes,
Yes, with tentative short-term downtime because of COVID.
I thought it was back up now.
It is, but I mean, as their staff, as they have staff shortages because of COVID exposures or things like that, they have to stop and then regroup.
So have they done any in Wyomissing? One.
Not that I'm aware of.
I saw at this, across from the stone house, that green,
Yes,
that was done.
Oh,
it
wow.
was
I got done.
I actually saw a guy there, he was there for quite some
Parkside
time.
Drive,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I saw him on the way in, and then I saw him at, he was still there when I was coming back from lunch, so.
On the traffic control box there, it says, "I love firemen."
I should still come off. Sorry. I
Well,
love
that,
that too.
and that traffic control box at Penn and Clayton, that's been painted up for months.
well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the mural idea is a very good one, to tell you the truth. I think what, the bridge is fine the way it is, in the same colors it's in. And I think we should, I'd make a motion to send that information to council and have a letter sent back to PennDOT saying, let's get the bridge painted the colors it is now, just refreshed.
I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
And if, I'm just
So I'll make
thinking,
that motion.
I'm just thinking of a
That's what you're asking
negotiating
for.
I'll second.
ploy that, I don't know, it's a big, that's a big project. But if we said, we don't care what the train sees, or what UGI sees out of their windows, it's the, if they could just paint the inside of the bridge itself, they wouldn't have to do the whole bridge, would be, and meet you halfway.
But is it a maintenance thing that they have to cover that it's going bad, or, you know, is it just appearance, or is it also to
Doesn't hurt
protect
somebody
the?
very much.
Well, I'm sure it's a protection for everything, but obviously, they don't care about protecting it.
No, they don't.
So it's more of a visual, and if we're just doing a visual, say, hey, you only have to do a third of the bridge, just the side, the walls against the sidewalk.
I don't think there's any negotiation. I think based on this email, they're just saying no. I don't think they're saying it's open for debate. They're saying it's not a structural issue, or we're not gonna do it.
they're nicely saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So-
Well, their design included this anti-graffiti painting. It may not have been structurally required, but they did it. They're responsible for maintenance, therefore they're responsible for maintaining the thing that they put on the bridge. So, my recommendation would be to not accept no and just keep pressing.
Okay, that's, I think the letter should then say something to the effect that we don't want a mural on the bridge, we want it painted the same way it was according to your specifications and maintained according to your specifications. Perfect. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor,
Wouldn't that
please
be
signify by
cheaper?
saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Wouldn't that be the cheapest option? and most
Sure.
effective.
But they gotta do it.
Who's gonna forget to hang off the bridge and paint a mural? Duh. Well,
Then you have to argue what the murals of.
trains. Update on the emergency contact.
We should be contract actually.
Oh, contract.
We piggybacked on Spring Township's emergency contract. This is in case we get a big sinkhole or some big utility issue that we can't handle, that we can call SLAP under predetermined costs to do emergency work for us, and it's running out the end of December. Spring is redoing the contract, and at some point it'll come before this committee of council to approve piggybacking again from that project.
That, we've already had that in place, right?
Yeah, it's the current due to the end of December.
Okay, great. Anything else? How about old business? We have any old business to tend to here?
I just wanted to make a quick note. Jim said sinkhole and it made me think, it was not included in my report because it only went out in November, not October. But the mall has been put on notice about the sinkhole, been given a copy of our sinkhole ordinance. They have 30 days from receipt of that letter to make the repairs or redo it for them.
Is that in front of Walmart, that blocked off area?
That's a separate one. This is the
Different.
mall in front of Boss House.
Oh, Boston,
Yes.
oh. Okay.
Yeah, for 3 weeks, and no action.
Yeah.
Sure.
I would like to return to the Western Berks Water Authority rate increase topic before we end.
Sure.
Sure. During the meeting, I was flipping through the borough code and looking at the provisions for the approval of our annual budget. And it appears to me that we do have the opportunity, if the borough wishes to revise the budget without re-advertising it, to include the rate increase that is now required by Western Berks. And so I want to ask the committee if you wish to incorporate the updated information about water rates in the 2022 budget. And if so, you may want to make a recommendation of that, and we should advise fellows to start working on it.
We didn't put any rate increase in this year at all for utilities. Because we felt the fund was funded correctly. I guess my question still is,
What's the 2%?
what's it actually
Yeah,
represent?
what's the dollars and cents?
I mean, if it's, so, I don't know if I have.
You want draft budget?
Yeah, based on my recollection of
Water.
the budget meetings, you're right,
Look
the
at
water
water
accounts
purchase,
probably
Yeah, it was
can support
$1,053,980. That's October.
2 million reserve, I mean, reserve?
No, revenues,
Oh, revenue,
Revenues,
okay.
water,
that was the expenses.
Proposed revenue for water is $1,986,500.
so $2 million.
Proposed expense, we were looking at a net shortfall of about 86,000
A shortfall.
right here.
So this will increase the shortfall if we don't make any adjustment.
By about
$40,000.
Well, I mean, if we're able to do it without having to re-advertise and go through all the rigmarole, I have no problem. I mean, if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it right.
Well, I would pass, since we were already prepared to absorb a portion of it, I would at least, maybe you would just pass on the 2% or 3%. I'm not sure we want to go from 0 to 7.
So you're saying pass the 2% or to
Or
the,
3,
to the,
something like
to
that.
the residents?
Yeah.
That's what I was asking about the 2% for the average bill. That's where I'm getting, we're getting back to where I was.
Well, then what happens
You gotta
next
speak
year? Dave's doom and gloom story
Well,
revisits.
Well, I mean, we have reserves, so the question is, do we say, hey, we're not passing on the 7% increase to our tax base, we're only gonna pass on, we budgeted for 5, we're gonna pass on 2. I'm okay.
And you think it's $150?
Average.
Our minimums are like 125, we have
yeah,
plenty of people to go out.
That's 6 in my mind, but
I mean,
but even still,
per resident basis.
You're talking,
Well,
$2
my bill
and
is
sixty cents.
I gotta believe I'm in the top, one of the biggest bills there is
13.
residentially, and
20.
God, it's only $10 a quarter. Yeah, it's a lot of water to shower, that's right.
You're getting rid of all that dead weight that used to live in your house.
That's true.
Darren's not there to take those long showers.
Yeah, I just say we keep it and just pass the 2% on.
I mean, if we can legitimately do that.
Yeah, I think we need to set it up though, and, you know, if you wish to pursue this, then I would suggest making a motion and alerting Phyllis that there's interest in doing this, so that she would be prepared to follow up.
What is she doing exactly?
She just needs to incorporate,
The 7 and then the 2. The increase in revenue of 2%.
She's already budgeted 5.
She has
Yes.
a budget of 5, right. So she needs to increase it by 2 and offset it with revenue of 2. All right, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Ayes have it.
So we're eating whatever 5 is.
Well, we're eating 86,000 now. That's budgeted, the loss of 86,000 now. And, yeah, 86. And we're just passing 140.
So that's reasonable.
The borough's got the majority of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm good with that.
So you want me to have her revise the budget to show the additional 2% increase in expenses to be offset by an additional 2% increase in revenue? Okay.
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it won't change the net bottom line of the budget.
Yeah, to use your text. Okay.
That's good.
So
Then-
what do you have to
I
do
just
something?
think, don't we?
No, there's the fee resolution, did we already adopt the fee resolution for 20? So we will need to
Yes.
update the fee resolution. So there are two things that have to happen. One is Phyllis revising the budget. The other thing is to update the fee resolution and re-adopt that.
Jim has some changes he wanted to make to that anyways.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fortuitous timing.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do all that.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Great.
We'll be
Uh,
83%.
Is there any old business? Okay, any new business to be brought before council today? No new business. That, ladies and gentlemen, finishes the agenda for
Well
today.
done.
45 minutes?
42.
42 minutes. 42 minutes. New record, ladies and gentlemen.
And got everything done.
Yeah, and we got it all done. Nobody's angry.
Great.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway. Okay, we'll stand adjourned.
So we are 8, right?
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
Because we'll need to do that. And if it's more than 9 times, it's better.
I'll be in Philadelphia.
Don't be out, yes, spend a week there one night. Oh, yes. Correct.
Make sure you-
Yeah.